Hello, everyone. This is Sylvain Rochon, the peaceful revolutionary. I'm happy to be with you again this week. As promised, I had some scientific topics to discuss. Actually, one scientific topic. It's around a bunch of different sciences that are related. I wanted to talk about genetically engineering humans. And again, it's because of some research that came out that allow us to start doing that pretty significantly. I know I've mentioned before in another video about the CRISPR-Cas9 complex that was uncovered and applied to repair DNA quite efficiently. And there's a few companies in the States and around the world that are working on that to create treatments to fix DNA at a whole body level, essentially. So we'll know more about how that unfolds in the next few years. But right now, what I want to discuss is the implications of genetically engineering humans. Like for sure, everybody that has some kind of a genetic issue, let's call it that, would like to get it fixed, right? But like a lot of researchers, they're very concerned that this would open up a Pandora's box, allowing for a lot more different types of modifications of the genetic code. Like as you know, our genetic code is what programs, who we are, how we are, the general geometry and physiognomy of our body, but also our biochemistry, which affects how we tend to think in general, our emotions, and also, of course, if there are some genes that are not properly coded or they're defectuous, then it causes us some issues. And according to some studies, there is about over 5% of the population, North American population, so it's going to vary a little bit depending on where you are, that have some kind of predominantly genetic problem that affects them in some way, and it can be fairly light where you don't really feel it. In some cases, it can be very lethal. And this study is for this statistic. Sorry, is for a study that was made for people that are less than 25 years old, where some genetic issues have had time to surface and actually be measured. So that's 5% of the population that are essentially born and survived birth. And then like kind of still had some problems. So we're not counting a certain percentage of the population that are born or that are not born because there's some genetic defect. We're not counting people that don't even sorry, embryos that end up not making it to the end at all because of a genetic defect. I'm just talking about the people that are alive and are living with some genetic issues that are fairly important. A lot of people have very minor issues, like my family tends to have problems with baldness, and that's genetic baldness. I may not have inherited it myself because it's carried by the X gene, and it's recessive. Actually, it's dominant among women, but so I may not have it. But it's not something that's super important. It won't really hinder me at all, and obviously I can live quite well without any hair if it ever comes to that. We're talking about a fairly high number, 5%, more than 5% of the population, and CRISPR-Cas9 can essentially be used to correct all these genetic issues. Now, the Pandora's box is that while we can use the Cas9 to make people stronger, better, more intelligent, less prone to emotional outbursts, we can use them for nefarious means as well to make people more less susceptible to emotions. Like you can do the reverse. You can make psychopaths You can make better soldiers that way, quote unquote, by making them unfeeling killing machines. I mean, we can modify our genes, and that modifies essentially what the proteins that are expressed, and it modifies our behavior potentially, not only our physical characteristics. So modifying genes can fix a lot of problems, and that's good. But at the same time, people with ill intent can create a whole bunch of people that are problems. In the same vein, there are some concerns that, without being nuts either way, like curing or making crazy people or dangerous individuals using genetic engineering techniques. There's also the case of they're afraid of eugenics, which is well illustrated in the movie Gattaca, which is a classic, where most of the population choose the characteristics of their children. They're genetically perfect. They're assigned a certain purpose, so their genetic makeup is aligned towards a certain career path in a certain future. So they're very specialized and very very good. But that helps the whole society. And those people that are born outside of the eugenics program are discriminated against, or just teased because they're considered inferior human beings, because they're not engineered. So this is eugenics, and people are very afraid of that, because obviously people don't want to be. I guess the people don't want to be those that are discriminated against or inferior. I assume, because if you're one of the superhumans, I guess you probably don't have any problems with that. Anyhow, this is the big topic. We have science, including some science, and I'm putting all the links below that so you can check them out. There's also a new science where there's the scientist, because it's so controversial. The scientist treated herself with a genetic engineering treatment um, that recovers a certain amount of the telomere of chromosomes. Now, a telomere is like a bit of a genetic code that is essentially acts as a measurement of a cellular age. There's a certain point in time where a cell can't reproduce, can't duplicate anymore, because the telomeres become shorter, and the mechanisms that allow for cellular duplication can't sit on it, it can't do its work, so the cell essentially kind of stays there. It doesn't split anymore, and if it doesn't split anymore, it can't really repair tissue. So that's one of the principal causes of aging, and also the body failure after a certain age, because the cells just don't divide anymore. So you get weak, you get damaged, you don't really repair, you don't heal as fast. Eventually, you die of all sorts of problems of old age, right? So she figured out a way to re-increase the length of those telomeres so that the cells would just keep going and never stop duplicating. So it should rejuvenate the whole body, and as long as you receive regular treatments, which is probably over, each X number of years, then your cells can just keep dividing. So you can lengthen your life quite significantly. It doesn't resolve all the aging issues probably, but that's a big step. And she's injected herself with it, and she's measuring the telomeres, and she's measuring. She's also took a treatment that rejuvenate the muscle tissue, because that also different cells have different characteristics, so that she's helped with that. There's a different researcher, again the link is below, that has figured out a way to re-express genes in the muscle tissue that are that allow the muscles to kind of keep their youth, to stay young. It may be a similar treatment to what the other lady did. I'm not sure, because there's no details around that, what she did specifically. But the other research speaks about the expression of the genes that allow actin to keep being produced, so that the muscle cells don't become aged, so to speak. And that resolved, apparently from his research at Mr. Lanner, I think, a Swede. It can cure a number of muscular genetic diseases by modifying the genes that are troublesome, that are supposed to do it, and also can combat cellular aging of muscles in regular people that don't have any issues, where the genes stop expressing themselves after a certain age for a reason we don't know yet. That treatment can rejuvenate those muscle cells so they don't deteriorate as you grow old. So this is all genetic engineering of humans to resolve certain issues, lengthen our life, keep us healthy, keep our muscle mass up. To me, it's all great stuff. And most people should be really excited. As long as it's good science and good medicine, we could take advantage of that. And just anything else, like those people that are afraid of eugenics or the use of genetic engineering for nefarious means, we have to remember that each technology coming out, especially technologies that are like nanotechnology, genetic engineering, things that really deal uh, with manipulating of small things correctly and very precisely, including 3D printing, really. These are all disruptive technologies that can revolutionize the world, essentially make the world a paradise, make us like live hundreds of years potentially, and healthy lives, curing defects that our body can't cure themselves over time, and we do it ourselves. It can do wonderful things for society, but at the same time, just like any good technology, it can mean death, destruction, apocalypse. Okay, it can be terrible, but it's not about the science itself. It's about the people that are using it. It's always about that. And we can't stop science. There's ethical committees, and there's religions and politicians that are all having their knickers in a bunch, as the British would say, because they're worried about the implications, what people would do with that, and they're trying to set up laws. They're trying to catch up, but they can't catch up because technology and science is too fast. And they're just kind of freaking out, and people are freaking out because these people are telling them like this could be bad. I mean, look, there's a simple solution. I've always talked about it. What we need to do is we need to change our society, how it works. Normal people that are healthy, that don't worry about money, and this is like, let's say 9,999 out of 10,000 people. They just want to be happy. They want to have the food, the lodging. They want to be happy. So we need to change how a society works to allow these people, which is like the great majority, these people to flourish and not fall into commercial traps, like being employed as a scientist to develop these new diseases, for example, and these problems. There's a bunch of innocent or quote unquote innocent people out there that are they're doing their job, they're paid to do it, but the results of their research and what they're doing ends up being devastating. Professor Oppenheimer that created the nuclear bomb, he was in that kind of situation. He wasn't a maniac that wanted to kill people. He was an employee, and he did something that eventually killed millions of people in the world. Uh, and there's a bunch of people that are stuck in there. Like, what do we need to do? We need to first focus on ourselves and be happy people with the way the world is. Be conscientious, just like we are. We need to be revolutionary about what we do and the impact of what we do. We can't fall into those job traps where we're creating things that could be a problem. We have to be conscientious objectors of anything, and we have to refuse to be part of the military. We have to refuse to participate in research that is specifically designed to create bad things. We have to refuse to participate and to buy into anything that's terrible for the environment, and so on and so forth. And we have to create new systems, like a new economic system, like I talked about, a political system like called geniocracy not long ago, to change the democratic system to something better, a selective democracy. We have to to work towards paradigm where everybody has everything they need thanks to technology, robotics, AI, automatic systems. Free the people from the economic system, free the people from the terrible political system by creating new ones, by working together to create something new. And all of a sudden, we can do all the research we need in genetic engineering. We can fix our problems, and we're not really worried about the isolated case, employees and whatnot that are trying to create new viruses. There's only a very, very small percentage of people that are genetic schizophrenics, or serial killers, or like really people that are genetically essentially have an imbalance that makes them want to do terrible things using technology. And if it's a small enough population and we're all free, we can probably help these people using genetic engineering to fix them, to make them better people, to make them have a conscience, to make them, to have a hormonal balance in the case of schizophrenics, for example, so that they have everything they need to, and they don't feel any urge to do anything crazy. So that's the way we should go, because we can't stop science, guys. We can't. We can't stop science and engineering, but we can change our society, and we can change our political system, our economic system. We can do that. And that would be the steps, because we are in a very dangerous world because of that research we're doing, and because there are people out there that are in positions that can do it, and they have motivations to do it, because whether it's financial or otherwise, remove those motivations, we remove the threat, and we can advance with science and technology pretty safely. Like, almost 100%, because they can't. Perfection is never doesn't exist, but like really, really safe, and we don't need to worry about all this ethics anymore at that point, because it's just like we just put control systems around it so that we're sure we don't make any mistakes. We make sure we do good research moving forward, because we're not confined in an economic system where we have to rush things or we have to sell things. We can do good research, get good stuff out for the people, and everybody can enjoy it around the world without having to have money to buy into it. And that's the world we're looking for. And this is the world we can achieve in 10 years. Not long, guys. Not long. 10, 15 years tops. We can do it. We just have to communicate and work together. And genetic engineering can be especially good. It will be good now because some of the stuff that are coming out in the labs are allowed to flourish and move forward. Some is not. So we're going to be able to benefit for some of it. It's probably going to help people get used to it to a certain degree with the minimum aspect access to genetic engineering we'll have. And we'll be able to move forward, guys. So let's encourage genetic engineering as much as possible, as long as there's containment of it, so that it's safe, because we have to make sure there's a lot of pressures to kind of sell stuff. We have to make sure it's safe and focus most of our energy in making the world a better place, just like the sun does. All right, so that's going to be it for today. We have a lot of work to do. We have lots of stuff to do, but we are, 75.5 billion people on the planet? No problem. I just can't do it myself, that's all. And you can do it by yourself. Together, we can achieve the impossible. I'm going to catch you next time. Ciao for now.